Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to Songs of Selah here on 17 Numa Radio. This is episode number 72 of the podcast. Last week kicked off the second season, so I'm feeling inspired. I hope you are too, and the beat goes on as we surge toward autumn up ahead. I'm your host, Scott Thomas Outler. Thank you to everyone for tuning in live on this Monday, September 16th edition. As always, an archive of the episode will be available to download after we're finished here tonight, so if you're listening to that later on, thank you to you as well. Please do subscribe to the 17 Numa Radio channel for free while you're listening. Just click on the follow button to sign up. And a big note of appreciation to those who help spread the word about the show and share links. It does help a lot. Gloria Mindock is tonight's guest, and she'll be joining the program coming up in the next segment to talk about her writing, read selections of her poetry, and discuss the work she does as publisher of Shervana Barva Press. I met Gloria earlier this year in Portland, Oregon at the table she had set up during the AWP event, so it'll be nice to speak with her more in depth and learn about what she's currently working on. A butterfly just fluttered by, twice. So I'm going to take that as a double dose of good luck, and the third pass will seal the charm for sure. At least let's hope. Okay, just for fun, here are a few random pieces of information about me. Number 1, my spirit animal hasn't fully matured and or mutated yet, or even been dreamed up and designed in the lab. So I just wait patiently on the owls and heed well their signals, wishes, demands, and warnings. Number 2, my spirit tree is the pine, and they are all blue in the woods of late, breathing rarefied air in this weather that is begging for autumn to arrive and carry along its crispness that coats the lungs. Number 3, my sign is Virgo, but just a single shard of the sky's equation seems slightly less vast than the total expanses of evolving space as it spreads exponential wings ever outward. A pity to relegate the soul to representing only a sliver of the overall cosmic formula. I want to feast on all the constellations for breakfast and feed raw stardust to the bacteria in my gut. It does a body good and keeps intuition healthy. Anyway, to any Atlanta area friends who are listening, I want to mention that I'll be reading this Wednesday, the 18th, at the Velvet Note in Alpharetta, Georgia. That show begins at 7 p.m. The Velvet Note was recently awarded the 2019 Reader's Pick for Best Jazz Club in Atlanta, and also the Critics' Pick for Best Nightclub in Atlanta in Creative Loafing magazine. A big congratulations to the venue for receiving those honors. So I'm excited to experience what the spot has to offer and be a part of what sounds to be an awesome atmosphere. It would be great to see some friends there if you're out and about this Wednesday. Tickets are available at thevelvetnote.com. Hope to see some of you there. I took some time away from readings the past couple of months, hibernating, living simple and eating clean, exercising, writing pieces for my next book that will be released through Culture Cult Press in a few months or so once the project is complete. Most likely that'll be in 2020. And I've been enjoying this podcast during that time and having a blast with the process. Every week I have the opportunity to speak with creative, intelligent, soulful people about life and art. That's pretty damn cool. When broken down to that simple foundational point of fact, I realize what a wonderful blessing this show has been for me, so thank you to everyone who makes it possible. My weekly poem at the Dissident Voice Sunday poetry page this week was a birthday dedication to one of my favorite people in the world, a true soul friend, a fellow lunatic Virgo, and someone who has helped me through many a rough moment in life through the years. So I wanted to read this piece tonight as a tribute to her. It's titled Behind the Veil of Birth. But these bones were born for the moors, destined for crystal and silicon visions. But these relics sit pretty, enshrined on the mantelpiece of dreams, femurs wrapped in single threads of black silken hair. And in the wild lands of America there were generations garnering wisdom from the earth, and I have seen elephants gather around their fallen to weep, to dance, to mourn, to bury the dead. Clavicles hidden away in a heathen's cloak, and on the trail of tears, scars are bled out in the sand beneath a war-torn sun that never dares to sleep. But I have seen your brother, and my father, and all the lovers of ages past, who now reside in realms beyond the grasp of those still bound to flesh, as are we. But even ghosts have living souls, and each of them smiles wide for you, because it's your birthday. So it's only natural to cry before entering the party, to blow out the candles in grand fashion. Ribcage holding white doves, freedom tattooed on their wings, and novels extracted from the marrow. That was Behind the Veil of Birth from Dissident Voice. Thank you to Angie Tibbs for all she does publishing the newsletter each week. Links to other publications I've had come out during September can be found at my website, 17numa.com. That wraps things up here at the top of the show. Let's go to a music break now, then come back on the other side with tonight's guest, Gloria Mindock. Stay tuned. welcome back to Songs of Selah. That last piece was Silver Threads by pianist Vlada Mars, who is a past guest here on the show during Season 1. And archives to all past episodes can be found here on the station or at 17numa.com. And anyone who's interested in appearing as a future guest on a program later this year can get in touch with me via email at 17numa@gmail.com or connect and reach out on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Would be happy to connect with you and get you scheduled to appear later on this year. Tonight's guest, Gloria Mindock, is the author of I Wish Francisco Franco Would Love Me, Whiteness of Bone, Nothing Divine Here, Blood-Soaked Dresses, and La Porte Ralu, translated into the Romanian by Flavia Cosma. She is the founding editor of Cervana Barva Press and one of the USA editors for L'Avure Littéraire out of France. Widely published in the USA and abroad, her poetry has been translated and published into the Romanian, Croatian, Serbian, Montenegrin, Spanish, Estonian, Albanian, and French. Gloria was the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from Ibatson Street Press, the Allen Ginsberg Award for Community Service by the Newton Writing and Publishing Center, the 5th and 40th Moon Prize by Writing in a Woman's Voice, and has had numerous Pushcart nominations. Gloria has been published in numerous literary journals, including Gargoyle, Web del Sol, Poet Lore, Constellations, Muddy River Poetry Review, Unlikely Stories, and Nix's Mate Review and Anthology. She was the Poet Laureate in Somerville, Massachusetts in 2017 and 2018. Thanks so much for joining the show tonight, Gloria. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Glad to get another chance to talk to you and hopefully hear some of your work later tonight. That's quite a bio you have there. I guess a good place to start maybe would be with that Poet Laureate Award that you won. That's quite an honor, and maybe you could talk a little bit about what that experience was like and how that came to be.
It was actually a wonderful, wonderful experience. I applied for it and was interviewed, and actually out of 3 people, the top ones that they interviewed, I was chosen, and it was very, very exciting. I did certain things for the community, like gave away a zillion poetry books, did workshops, readings, puppet play with stick figures, things like that. So it was really wonderful.
Sounds like an amazing experience. Must have been a wonderful year during that time. And so with the Cervana Barva Press that you started up, I guess back in 2005, from what I was reading about, that's quite a journey you've been on with that press. Can you talk a little bit about what your original inspiration was in starting it up and how that journey has been here now 15 years later?
Yes, it all started with Václav Havel. He was a dissident and, of course, the president of the Czech Republic and the fall of communism, and it was very peaceful when that happened, and he's the weirdest playwright. And I thought, I'm going to name the press because of him. So at first I had red blood instead of red color, which Cervana Barva means. And then I thought that's too gory, so I went with red color. And so since then we have published 200 chapbooks and books. And it's been a really great experience for me. I've met so many people from all over the world, published so many from all over, and that's what makes me tick, and I just love it. I think I only had 2 writers I wish I never published. I shouldn't say that, I know, but it's like, oh my God. But then I look at how wonderful and nice everybody is and excited, so then that makes running the press worth it. The last 2 years, I added 9 staff people to the press, and I also have 4 interns now, so it's been going really well. And I would say translations really are my favorite thing to publish in chapbooks, even though I do many full lengths.
That's quite a run. You've had 200 chapbooks
or over that number now being put out through those years, and I would say a 99% happiness rating with the authors is pretty good quality that you've got there.
I think so, because you never know sometimes how it will go.
Right, absolutely. So making all of those connections and getting to meet all the authors, I guess those have been some of the great experiences you've had. But do you have any new books that you're excited about at the moment that the press is going to be releasing?
Oh, yes, one by William Walsh. He's in Atlanta, Georgia, and the book is called Fly Fishing in New York City. And then a book by Brad Rose and Mark Fleckenstein and Michael McInnes, who's the editor and publisher of Nix's Maid. I'm doing Secret Histories by him. And one more coming out in October is Dancing in Santa Fe with Beat Singrid Daughter. And so I'm really excited about these books.
Oh, that's great news. Yeah, William Walsh, I've read it alongside him at a couple events here in the area through the years. So congratulations on those projects coming out. And you said that translations are your favorite or pet project there. What do you think got you most interested in that vein?
I read mostly Eastern European writers, and they make me basically tick. They make me want to write. And they were really hard to find at first, and now you can find more translations. There's more presses doing them. But I just am so inspired by them that I have to write and I have to publish people from other countries, because there still isn't enough over here, and we are missing out on a lot of wonderful, wonderful writers.
Well, that's great that you get to fill in those spaces here through your work. I hope that those get out into a lot of people's hands and get that cultural movement flowing. You know, you've obviously had a lot of your own work translated as well. A lot listed there in your bio. What has that experience been like, seeing your words in other languages?
In shock, totally. Like, did this really happen? Did they really want to translate my work? But it is just an honor, and I am thrilled so much to see them in a different language and have people read my work. That is just the best. And they are so wonderful, the translators that did that. I can't thank them enough.
Along with Chervana Barva Press, I saw that you have some upcoming workshops in the works. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those events that are on the horizon?
Yes. Well, besides the reading series, we have a series called Portrait with an Artist and Poet. In October and November, we have some different things happening with that series. Terry Chance will be doing cowboy music for us besides poetry. And then Hussam, I can't pronounce his last name very well, Jaffe, will be doing Syrian music and poetry, and he will have a book out by the press soon also. Then we have a translation roundtable. We had our first one in, this month, and we read writing from Czech writers, Czech translations, and next month will be Polish, and then every month there'll be a different language after that. And then we have a regular poetry roundtable, and I'm trying to think what else there's so much of it. It's hard to keep track. But those are pretty much the things coming soon from the press.
That is a lot just right around the bend. Very eclectic mix. Sounds like a lot of interesting events. What is the scene there like in Massachusetts, in the area you're at? Is there a thriving poetry and art scene?
Definitely. I would say it seems like it's the most active in the country. There are so many poets here, artists, the whole community, really the whole state, and everybody's very supportive of each other. And that's really nice because sometimes you don't find that. And I really love it here in the community. And community is very important to me, so I try to reach out and do different things for the community.
That's fantastic. It really is a wonderful feeling when that community-oriented sentiment is there and everyone shows up for each other's events and cheers each other on with all the different projects that are coming out, because everyone has their books coming out, so it's great when each other support each other, and glad to hear that it's thriving up there. Have you always lived in Massachusetts?
No, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Illinois, the north central Illinois, and I moved out here in 1984. I didn't expect to still be out here. At first, I didn't like it. It took me like 3 years to get used to the fast pace. And then once I settled in, I loved it. And now I could never go back to where I lived. I come from a small town, 3,800 people. There's nothing to do. But I have many friends there yet, and I love them. There's nothing like, my old friends there.
That's great that you got acclimated to it after a while. So has poetry always been a central part of your life? Where do you think that love originated from?
From my mother. She had Frost and Robert Burns. Those were her favorite poets, and she had books of them. And at that time, I didn't like them. I'm like, oh, get away from me. I can't listen to that. But there were always art books around our house. And then years later, I discovered The Buried Life by Matthew Arnold, and I loved that poem so much. And so I started, when I was in college, just spending hours in the library reading poetry, and then I discovered translations, and then I took off from there, and that was it. And then I had the poetry bug for sure.
And I've listened to some of your earlier interviews, getting ready for this show, and I've seen that you talked about Eastern European influence being heavy in your thoughts. Where do you think that aspect of it came from?
From reading Eastern European writing, definitely, and then just the whole dissident scene, and their use of language is so beautiful in the writing, very different from American writers, and I was taken with that.
Very nice. And what are you currently working on as far as your own work goes?
I'm working on actually 4 manuscripts, and I go back and forth between them, because then when I switch, it feels fresh to me. Some people ask me, how can you do that? But I work best that way. So I'm working on a chapbook about the Cuban Missile Crisis, a poetry memoir called Screaming for Paul, and it's because I was such a teeny bopper in the 60s and 70s, and where there was a will, I made a way to meet a lot of groups and stuff, and some of the experiences are really funny, and I was a screamer, definitely. And then another book is called Tornado. I've been through numerous tornadoes, so I'm writing about that experience. And then the 4th one is called Ash, and it's about bad relationships, because for 35 years I worked in addictions with men who were addicted to heroin and coke and, of course, alcohol, numerous drugs. And they always told me the relationship problems. So I decided now that I'm retired from that job, I'd put the words to good use. So it's coming out now in in my poetry. And people always want to tell me their problems. They even stop me on the street. So I figure I must have sucker written across my forehead,
Oh, no.
Because I hear it all. So therefore, it's going into a book.
Sucker or compassionate, perhaps, is what's up
yes.
there. They know they have
mood
children
I'm in.
that they can talk to. Well, that is a heavy subject on that last one that you're working on, so I can see where having the mixture that you can go back and forth on can help alleviate certain moods and keep you inspired in different directions while you're working on them all. What type of writing routines do you have? Are there any particular parts of the day that work best for you, or any set programs that you have?
No, I like to write in the wee hours because it's quiet, There's no distractions, but I don't write every day. I know people sometimes say they have to do that. I'm more sporadic. I can go 3 months without writing and I'm fine, and then all of a sudden I'll go crazy for a while and write and write and write, and then I stop, then it starts again, and then I make sure I read a lot in between that time so I'm inspired.
Absolutely. And anything currently that you're engaged with reading?
Oh gosh, I'm actually rereading Neruda because he always stimulates me, and I just got done reading Ocean Vuong. I'm not quite sure I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I just read his memoir, and his book, I think it's called No Exit, which is brilliant. I just love that book.
Very nice. And so you're obviously getting out there a lot with your own work, but also through the press. You know, we met at the AWP conference out in Portland earlier this year. What was your experience like at the event this year as opposed to past years, and are you planning on going back next year?
Okay, I had a blast in Portland. That was probably the most fun I've had at any of them, besides one in 2009 in Chicago. I'm not going to San Antonio next year, but the following year I'll be in Kansas City. But I always enjoy it because I get to see so many editors and publishers that I don't get to see. All we do is communicate by email, so that's like really a great time to get together and have some fun, and then talk about what we're doing, and then also meeting new people, new writers, new editors, publishers. It is overwhelming sometimes because, as you saw, that room is so huge with all those presses. Oh my God! But I love it.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a madhouse, but that's the excitement of the whole scene, and it is great in this age of social media and the internet to be able to put voices and faces to people and actually get a little bit of personal time. So really a great event out there in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Any other events that you're going to be reading at in the local area in the upcoming future?
Oh, let me see. Not offhand that I can think of. I was reading so much, it's kind of nice to have a break because with the community, too, you don't want them to see you too much all the time everywhere because then they'll get tired. And I don't write that fast for new material for each time. But right offhand, I can't think of anywhere I'm reading coming up.
Okay. There was one other thing that I saw on the website that I wanted to ask you about, the Read America Read project. Could you talk a little bit about what goes into that? It sounds like a great project that you have out there.
Mm-hmm. I decided that I wanted to start a program where books are left for free at train stations, bus stations, cafes, really anywhere that someone wants to put a book where someone could take it for free. I see so many families and kids who don't have enough to read or they can't afford to go out and buy new books. So I figure this is one way to start a library. So I asked for help. I asked all the editors and publishers I know and friends to please, the last Saturday of every month, leave a free book somewhere for someone to take. And that has spread throughout the whole country. I'm still building it up, and I ask sometimes for them to send me pictures, so I've gotten many pictures from where books were left. And it's really exciting, and it means a lot to me, this project. I want people reading instead of spending so much time on the computer, playing computer games. Books are very important to me. I love them. They've always been in my life, and I want to share them. And I probably, while I was Poet Laureate, I probably gave 500 books away. And it started October 2000, I think it was 2015. And I've probably given away close to 1,000 books or more.
That's really fantastic. What a great project to get books into young people's hands and everyone's hands. And I think you hit it right on the nail there with all the time everyone spends online these days. I'm guilty as charged sometimes. Just
Me too.
Staying in that theme of getting books into people's hands, you have the Lost Bookshelf on your internet site, but then also turned that into a physical bookstore there. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Oh, sure. It's in the Armory in Somerville, and I decided to expand the bookstore. It was online for the same amount of years as the press, and since I rented the space in February of 2013, I slowly started to put used books in there besides the new books and the books on consignment. And many people in the community has donated their books to me. So I sell them, and then that money is used to help support the press and keep the press keep going, basically. And I sell most of them for $3 and under. There's a few exceptions, but I believe in keeping them reasonable. I don't like when I go into a used bookstore and the books are like $8, $9 for a used book. I think that's ridiculous, but that's just me. So I decided when I brought all those books in and had, and people dropped them off, that I would make them very reasonable and affordable.
What a great service you're offering there, and a pillar of the community, I'm sure. Can you talk a little bit about, well, we talked about the projects you're working on currently with the 4 manuscripts. Can you talk a little bit about the previous books that you already have published? What was your process in putting those together? Did you have that same sort of energy going on where you were working on multiple manuscripts at the same time? Or
they were separate, actually. I wish Francisco Franco Would Love Me was written like a mad woman. I definitely watched on the internet testimonies from people who were alive while Franco was dictator. I read books on him. I did my research, but I didn't want it to become so heavy as much as some of my other books about the atrocities. So I think it's a little lighter. I tried a different direction. I like to put veins and blood and graphic things sometimes in my poems, and I thought this time I'm not going to do that. It was a real challenge. I get told, Gloria, you're too graphic. How can you write that stuff? But it's in my blood. I have to. So Franco was fun to write. And then Whiteness of Bone, that was published by Glass Lyre, and that book is about the atrocities in Rwanda, Congo, El Salvador, various countries. And this book I also worked on crazily. It means a lot to me. It's probably the one that's the closest to my heart out of all my books. And then Nothing Divine Here is, again, what I mentioned before about bad relationships that I'm working on called Ash. This one's just about bad relationships also. And basically, you name it, I kill it in this book. So it's kind of heavy-handed, It's not about me, though. People think, oh, is this about your life? No. I never write about myself. And then the one from Romania, that was some of those poems taken and some other ones. And Flavia Cosma, who did the translation, gave it the name At the Heaven's Gates. And then Blood-Soaked Dresses was all about El Salvador and the atrocities there during the Civil War. And that one also is close to my heart. And because of that book, it brought so many people in my life from El Salvador and throughout the country. And so that book's very special to me also.
You mentioned a moment ago that you never write about yourself, and you expressed all these different atrocities and moral situations in the world that you do write about. Was that a conscious decision that you made, or was it just naturally that you wanted to write about reflections on the world at large?
It was a conscious decision. Ever since I was a little girl, I was upset with the things that happen in the world, and I could never understand it, starting with the Cuban Missile Crisis, actually. And then when I saw the atrocities and unjust things happening and innocent people and villages just getting slaughtered, I thought, I have to speak up about it. Nobody's listening. The world goes on with its ways, and as long as they're not, many countries aren't dealing with this, it's out of their mind. I would say a lot of people don't care, and a lot of people do, but nothing was being done. I'm not a fan of the UN. And so I just got fed up, and I thought, wake up, America. I'm going to write about these things. So when people ask me, why do you write about these things? I say, I have to. I need to be a voice for those that have no voice.
That's a great thought there. We're here with Gloria Mindock on Songs of Selah, and we have a caller at a 303 area code. Let's go to them now and see if they have any questions for Gloria tonight. Caller at 303, are you there? Caller at 303. Okay, they dropped off. They might have been
changed their mind.
Yeah, well, they might have been just listening to the show from their phone, and I might have scared them off, so I apologize for that. I will continue on here. So you really just answered what my next question was, which was, what do you hope people get from your writing? I guess you want to have them explore these same situations that are so important in your consciousness, but can you expand on that a little bit more, and what's the response like to these topics that are so, I guess for lack of a better word, heavy, that it comes back to you?
The response I get is mixed. Sometimes, again, it's like, why do you write about these things? Can't you write about something else? Which I do write about something else. Or they go, I never knew you experienced that. Were you in El Salvador? And I say, no, I worked with refugees. And so I get questions like that. And then some people are very supportive. They might say, I never heard that happened, or it's graphic, but it makes me think deeply, and maybe I should bring awareness to, and maybe not in my work, but how I speak to people and talk about it more. So I would say the reaction to me is mixed.
That's pretty much what's going to happen in life, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Some people are going to resonate with you, but not all the time. And it is those good responses that come back that help keep us going, though, I think, and knowing that the work that you do is touching someone out there and getting that response to make them think a little bit deeper about the situations as well. So that's good that you get that feedback. So 15 years into the press now, and working on 4 manuscripts of your own, where do you see the press going in the future, and your hopes with these books, and where you're going as well in the future?
Okay, well, I would like to see the press continue, definitely. I don't know about 15 more years, but I would like to see it continue. I definitely would like someone to take it over in time if that ever happens, that I can't run it anymore due to old age, God forbid, or something bad happening to me. I do plan on continuing to publish more translations and less work from the USA after a couple of years, and probably go nonprofit, which I never had time to do when I was working, and I really would like to do that, to try to get grants to help publish some of the books, and also that would help keep the press going also. So that's what's in the works for the press, and then myself, just to keep writing. I hope my manuscripts get done so I can send them out and try to find a publisher for them. There's a few presses that express an interest in my work that have published me before, and I hope the new manuscripts that they will like them, but that's out of my control. So I'll just carry on and see what I can do that way and keep writing.
Sounds like a beautiful path to continue walking down. Do you have some work that you'd like to read for us tonight? I think we've got about 15 minutes left in the show, so maybe give you a little platform here and share some of your work with us if you would.
Okay, I would love to. Let's see here. I'm trying to balance the phone here. Okay. The first one here is called Karachi, Pakistan, and it's from Whiteness of Bone. 3 children, all under 5, sit on a hospital bed covered in blood. A bomb exploded, and these children survived. From this photo in the New York Times, I could see fear in their eyes. The middle child had the most blood covering his body. I wonder, what was he thinking? There is no end to the blood flow, and there never will be. Bombs will continue, and bodies will pile up. Many won't know what hit them, but these children will never be the same. These children won't dream because they won't sleep. Forever in their eyes will be the sight of the dying, the smoke, the building shattering around them. And as the mess is cleaned up and no evidence remains, who will clean the children? Blood forever exposed on them? I wonder, what are they thinking?
Very powerful questions in that one.
And this next one is called Listen, and it's from the same book. The soldiers fire into the people, grabbing women and young girls, shoving bottles where no bottles should be. The soldiers beat them until lips are cracked, rape them again. There is no boundary not broken. The stories travel from country to country. The world says there is no proof. So many died without a burial or casket. So many died in pits, unaccounted for. Can't you hear their weeping around 2 a.m.? How can you sleep? How can you when the world holds such a stench, holds so many bones?
Powerful.
Do you want me to keep going?
Oh, yes, please do if you...
Oh, okay. I didn't know how many you wanted me to read. Okay. This one is called In a Dark World, and it's for Brother Nicholas. You told me I was a light in a dark world. Hanging on to these words, I continue. Every day there is slaughter, murder, horrific things done to a body, things that make me sick. Day after day, death happens, despite the sun coming out to show the blue of the sky, beauty and ugliness in battle, light and dark in battle. Each day, a tug of war, and each day, each side wins somewhere in the world. You told me I was a light in a dark world. Why did you do this? Do you know something I don't? Am I an angel alone weeping with words coming out of my mouth that no one listens to?
Thinking about the aspect of light, dark, and the balance there that you're addressing in that poem, when you're dealing with these heavy subjects and pouring them out, I guess it's a cathartic process to actually write them, but dealing with that sort of weight that comes with that sort of thinking, how do you decompress from that in your other aspects of life? Do you have hobbies that sort of help balance out that nature?
Oh, gosh. I'm trying to think here. Do I have hobbies? It seems like writing in the press takes up so much of my life. In terms of decompressing, I watch HGTV. I would say, and Bill, my partner, he goes, "Oh no, don't get any ideas," because he knows I'll put them to work. So that's one way I compress in Netflix. And then my friends going out, I decompress that way. But even though it's such heavy subjects, I don't get depressed writing them. Granted, I want to shake the world, and wake them up, as I mentioned. But I pretty much take things in stride. I know this world's a pretty bad place in a lot of ways, but it's also a pretty good place in a lot of ways. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I can balance it in my head and be okay.
That's really a great philosophy and mindset to come from, to just know that the world can be chaotic at times, but there's only so much within our control, and to just do our parts as best we can, and that's really the only say that we have in the matter at the end of the day. So very, very well said there. I appreciate that perspective that you're coming from. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll turn the floor back over to you for a couple more, if you have them.
Oh, you didn't interrupt me. It's nice to know what you thought in that of my philosophy, basically, on life.
Yeah, I mean, please speak on that in general anymore if you'd like. I mean, I love talking about everything here on the show.
Yeah. No, I'll go to I Wish Francisco Franco Would Love Me. And
okay.
Let's see here. This is called Disappearance in Another Country. And I wrote this because so many countries talk about the disappeared, such as Argentina, and that even though this is about Franco. Investigate the voices buried beneath dirt, all the white cars being driven around. Disappearance, a villager seeing the same face twice. Bodies incinerated and dumped into water, hell dumped into the sea. Ashes wash up, the tortures are vicious. An evil for the lost, all the white cars driving look for a name, a body to own, a purity to shove into a trunk.
Nice ending there.
And then I'm going to read a silly one. It's silly, but yet it's not. And I was in a warped frame of mind when I wrote this, lack of sleep. So this is called The Fruit Fly. The fruit fly landed on Franco's nose and would not move. The skin was tasty. The fly started eating and eating until only bone was left. Francisco could no longer smell the slaughter. More fruit flies landed on his skin and chowed. Bony man Franco disintegrating into all the fruit flies' mouths. Spain was liberated.
I like that one a lot.
And let's see here. And this is from the same book. This is called Filling. I reached for your hands. They weren't there. Eyes of water, lake filling. I can't even float. Sinking deep, my body is drowning. Life now, only one-sided. Put on a life jacket next time to keep from swallowing the drops that flow into my mouth. No breathing, alone, waiting, the pier calls.
That'd be nice. And so people can find all these books on Amazon or at the press's sites, I'm assuming?
Yes, on Amazon and Nix's Mate and Glass Liar. And then Nothing Divine here is harder to get, so they can always order that from me.
Okay. And do you have any websites that you'd like to send people in the direction of tonight?
Oh, sure. Well, to the Cervena Barva Press website, which is www.cervenabarvapress.com. And my website is currently under construction, so it might be a while for that one. And also the Lost Bookshelf, www.thelostbookshelf.com.
Okay, great. Hope people will go and check out all those sites. And I really appreciate you joining the program tonight. It's been great talking with you. Maybe if you have one more piece that you can send us out with tonight?
Oh, sure. I'll do one on the death of relationships to change it up a little bit.
All right.
And thank you so much, too, for having me on the show.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
This one is called Cautionary. I could have imagined many things, but never you like this, crushing down all love with your fist into a small box which stays floating through your veins. Must I slice open a vein to get it? What if I cut your neck when the box is in your calf? Love is complicated but necessary. When I die, leaving you with memories is not good enough. What if I open your small box and there is absolutely nothing there, no documentation of the heart? What if the small box is full of blood swirling in circles with no way to stop until death? Maybe death is the only true love we get. Maybe death is just air, and just maybe our decaying bodies are solid earth for the insects, and love is just a pact we have with dirt.
Oh, wow. Very powerful ending.
Thank you.
The cycles as they turn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you again so much for coming on, and it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I wish you all the best with those many manuscripts you're working on. I hope that the inspiration keeps flowing, and when the next book comes out, you're welcome to join the program again if you'd like.
Oh, I would love it, and thank you so much. This was really, really wonderful.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and look forward to talking with you more in the future. Gloria, have a great last few days of summer here.
Okay, I will. You too. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, bye.
All right, everyone, go check out Chervana Barva Press's website and the Lost Bookshelf site as well. Thank you so much to Gloria for appearing here tonight. Really enjoyed those poems. And the next episode is coming up on the 22nd, Sunday. Douglas Cole will be the guest, and then on the 23rd, on Monday, Rhonda Hoff will be joining the program, so please tune in then. And thank you for tuning in tonight. Everyone have a great week ahead. Let's fade out here with a little bit from the Monkees. Selah.
7A.
What number is this, Chip?
7A.
Okay, don't get excited, man. It's because I'm short, I know.
Oh, I could hide neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings. The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and I rise, wipe the sleep out of my eyes. My shaven razor's cold and it sings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? You once thought of me as a white knight on his steed. Now you know how happy I can be. Oh, and our good times start and end without dollar one to spend. But how much, baby, do we really need? Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen?